Time to Revive, and I get to hang out with teenagers a lot, and I love teenagers. Are there any teenagers in the house tonight? Yeah, awesome. I get to do the shameless plug as much as possible. We do have a time for teens called Revive Teens on Wednesdays and Saturday nights. At 5 o'clock we have dinner over in the tent, in the food tent here if you're on the site. And then at 5:45 we get to hang out over at King City and have our own time before the 7 o'clock service back in here. So teenagers, I hope to see y'all tomorrow night. Okay, I'm so excited. We also have t-shirts. Y'all should just wear the t-shirts all day tomorrow. Skip school maybe? Maybe not skip school. Ask for excuse absences? That would be awesome. I also have the privilege tonight of getting to share some stories and getting to invite people to share some stories tonight. We do have a website called reviveflorida.tumblr.com, and this site is for anybody who has a story of the goodness of God or what God is doing through you in your days with Revive Florida. If you're in your workplace, if you're on the streets with us in the morning and the afternoon, if you're at home and you're getting to talk to your family members about Jesus and getting to experience some crazy things, write into reviveflorida.tumblr.com. You don't have to log in. You don't have to give your information. You just submit your story, and we get to read through them. You can go to that website and read through them and see what God is doing through each of you as we get to worship and experience this together. So I want to invite Pastor Dan Miner and his team from this afternoon today. Yeah, give it up for Pastor Dan. Here they come. Raul and Kathleen. Awesome. And these guys just experienced some crazy things this afternoon and want to tell y'all about it.
Yeah, so this is exciting. I just need you to expand your mind for a moment at the idea that this actually happened. So you're going to have to believe one of two things. You're going to have to believe either I'm a liar,
you're a preacher,
which is possible, or I'm telling the truth. And so those are the two things you're going to have to decide on today. The good news is I tell the truth at least 2 days a week. And Tuesday is one of them. So you're good to believe what I'm getting ready to tell you. We're excited. We went out. Actually, we did follow and obey the rules. We had 4 people. But we had 2 people here in the middle. By the way, this is Raul and Kathleen and Fernando and Samantha and Marcella. And so Fermantha is what we call these 2 in the middle. Yeah, or Samando. Whatever you want. Those 2 in the middle, they called us. They're like, "Hey, we missed the lunch. Can we still do it?" We said, "Yeah, come on out." So we went to GT Bray Park in Bradenton, which was in our kind of map, and we were walking around. We kind of split up in teams. We had some awesome things, praying for some guys that were getting ready to play some baseball out there, and one of them got just radically healed with his back and was totally flipping out when it happened, and that was exciting. And there was just some really cool things I don't have time to tell you all about, but the coolest thing was we were just getting ready to leave, or close to leaving, maybe a half an hour before we left, and we had circled back around to our original location, which was this little skateboard kind of park there, and because we had seen a kid skateboarding out there, and we wanted to pray for him and talk to him, but he had taken off before we got there. And so when we circled back around, there was a bunch more people there. And there were 2 kids that had just kind of rolled up on a bike, and I think both on bikes. And so we just engaged them and started talking to them. And how many of you know that sometimes you don't have to jump like right into the band in the Bible?
yeah,
Right?
yeah, right.
Because then they feel like a project. And so we didn't jump right into that. We just engaged them and joked and talked and acted silly for a moment and gained their trust, because they were probably 15 or 16 years old. And so we did that. And after I felt like we were comfortable enough, we started talking. Fernando and I started talking with them. And I said, "Hey, is there anything we can pray for you about?" And the one guy that we later found out was a believer was like, "No, it's okay. Everything's good." And his name was Christian, by the way. And the other young man, his name was Sam. I noticed I couldn't see the other side of his head because he was on my left, but I noticed on the ear that I could see, he had a hearing aid in. And it wasn't like one of those little tiny, nobody can see hearing aids. It was a hearing aid where you could see the whole piece on the back, and it was, I'm not an audiologist, but I assume that his hearing loss was pretty severe based on what he had. And I later realized that he also had one on the other side. So he was almost completely deaf in both ears. And so I said, well, there's nothing we can pray for. And I'm like staring at his hearing aid. And I don't want to be awkward. You know what I mean? Because I'm 90% awkward. And I'm like, God, let that 10% come out right now. And so I'm looking at his ear, and I'm kind of like, I don't want to be obvious, but I'm like, hello, you know. I said, so what's going on with your hearing? And he said, I don't know. My mom knows. I don't know. She knows the diagnosis. And I said, well, how long have you had hearing aids? He said, since I was 2. And I said, all right. I said, so you hear all about them? And he said, no. I said, so are you open to us praying for that? He said, yeah. He said, you know, I've been thinking about maybe going to church. So we said, hey, we'll take him out real quick. So Fernando and he took him out, and I said, hey, do you mind if I put my hands on your ears? Now, guys, I just want to throw this out there. I know this has been a part of training, but I want to reiterate to you. Before you touch somebody, ask them. Got me? Even if it's their shoulder, ask them. It's super important. It also, it's not just a comfortability thing. It also shows that you honor and respect them enough to ask permission. And so I said, do you mind if I touch your ears? Now, if you say to them, you mind if I lay my hand on you? They might think their shoulder. So tell them where. Hey, do you mind if I touch your ears when I pray for you? And he said, yeah. I said, cool. And the other guy's watching, like, what's going on? So we prayed for him. And I took my hands away, and I said, hey, what's going on? And he said, it's clearer. I'm like, that's good. So I walked around and talked a couple more times. And I said, I'm going to say your name. And I was talking quieter and quieter and quieter. I said, can you still hear me? He said, yeah. And I said, are you there yet? Can you really, really hear? Don't lie to me. That's the other point I want to make tonight. Don't force somebody into them telling you that they got healed. Right? Yeah. Don't you really want to know? Or you just want a great testimony that you're not sure if it really happened? So I said, don't lie to me. I just said it that straight out. If you're not healed, tell me. He's like, well, I'm not totally there yet, but it is clearer. I said, we're going to pray again. So we prayed again. And then something changed on his face, and he's like, I can really hear good. I can really hear good. Yeah. And I said, good. So I kept talking and talking. His friends started to freak out. And then Fernando walked away to go tackle somebody else, apparently. And his friend goes, are you really hearing clear? Like, is this true? He's like, dude, I'm not playing with you. I'm not messing with you. I can hear really good. So we encountered a couple more people and circled back around. And these kids who had come to play at the park did not move for 30 minutes. Trying to figure out what in the heck just happened. While his hearing aids sat on the bench. Come on, that's awesome. Now check this out. You want to get excited about something, listen to this. We circled back around after probably 30 or 40 minutes after we talked to him, after we had prayed over some other people and talked. We circled back around to leave. I was probably close to the length of this building away from him in my car. I rolled down my window. His back was to me. His hearing aids were still out on the bench. The rest of the team was still with me. And I said, hey, Sam. Not that loud. Hey, Sam. You probably can barely hear me in the back row. Hey, Sam. He went just like this. Yeah! Come on! Woo! Now, I want to tell you this. You might be thinking to yourself, well, you're a pastor and all that kind of stuff, and you seem like you can have the faith for it. I have prayed for people before with hearing issues, and guess what? It doesn't always happen. I'll just put it that way. But folks, something's happening this week, and you can step into it. And I'm telling you right now, they told me not to preach. I'm not preaching, I swear. But you can step into it. There's a special grace this week because of the unity of the body of Christ coming together. And if you've prayed for 50 people with the same issue and nothing's happened, and you encounter 51, pray for them, because God's going to heal them. Somebody take this microphone. All right.
Can we clap one more time? Stories, and when we hear people testifying, and I pray that it's not just in this time that we are testifying, by the way. I'm praying that we are testifying in the streets, in our homes, in our schools, in our families, that we would be testifying about the goodness of God happening, not just through Pastor Dan Minor, but through teenagers, through children, through retired men, through wives, through husbands, through all these people who are coming together for the sake of the gospel. That's so beautiful. So when we unite together, when we get to experience these beautiful things, encounter people on the streets, we also need people to come running alongside them and help them learn the new way. Okay, scripture, specifically the gospel, talks about the new way of following Jesus. And if these people have never heard of Jesus, if these people don't know anything, or if they know a little bit and they were turned away, they need to be refreshed and renewed by us who love God, who are refreshed by God on a daily basis. So Pastor Tom, there you are. He's going to come up and talk about what we get to do as a body of believers in discipleship.